Will you be free this next weekend? For once, come over to our house. I gladly accepted the offer from my son, Ethan, and eagerly anticipated that day. On the other hand, Ethan texted me that day. He promised to return shortly, but he had an important business to attend to. For now, he wanted me to unwind there. Finally, I arrived in front of their house after traveling by train and cab. The door didn't open right away when I hit the intercom. My granddaughter, Clara, finally showed up. I said, "Hello, Clara." She motioned for me to get closer, urgently. "Just a little while." "Enter this way," she murmured. Clara shoved me into the back room and appeared agitated for some reason. She said, "Grandma, get out through the back door quietly so Mom can't find you." Clara only told me it was important to keep her mom from finding out when I questioned why, and with that she returned to the living room. I stayed still, figuring we were playing hide and seek. At that moment, Sarah, the wife of my son, came out of the restroom just in front of the storage area. "Clara, is your grandmother here yet?" she inquired. "Not quite," Clara answered. With a quick snap of her tongue, Sarah picked up her phone. "The hag hasn't made an appearance at all. Cannot barely maintain time. It's her last chance. I guess it's time for a generational change." Was I really being called that old hag by her? The startling discovery, however, didn't stop there. Sarah started talking about something really unexpected. "My name is Amelia River. It's a lovely holiday today, and outside my window I can hear birds tweeting. I pull open the curtains, put together my look, and make my way from the too large bedroom to the smaller room at the rear. The smiling image of my late spouse greets me as I open the door. He died a few years ago in an accident. I was so distraught at the moment that I was unable to function. However, with support from my son Ethan and his spouse Sarah, I've been able to work a full-time job and have a regular life. Above all, I can't let myself down here, especially for my elementary school-age granddaughter Clara." I closed my eyes and clasped my hands in front of the photo. My darling husband, who worked so hard to construct this lovely, roomy house for us, may you rest in peace in paradise. I brushed the portrait a little bit and then headed to the living room. Artwork from a floral arrangement class I attend with friends from the neighborhood has been used to adorn this area. It's my pastime right now. They pushed me to enroll in the program after my husband died away, which left me feeling like an empty shell. Now that I'm enrolled, I can't get enough of it. Every time they visit, the Ethan family from the next town also enjoys the flowers. Ethan attended and eventually was employed by an out-of-state institution. Clara was born after he married Sarah. Clara has grown a lot, but she still likes to run around this house, so perhaps its roominess is just right for her. Even though I was by myself, I was able to remain occupied and happy. I'm taking my buddies to a flower arranging lesson today. The living room doorbell chimed as I was getting ready. I yelled, "Coming," and made my way to the door. But before I could get to it, the door opened. "Hi, Mom," Sarah greeted her. I thought, not again. For the last 2 months, Sarah and Clara have been making surprise visits. At first, it was limited to the weekends with advance notice, but nowadays it happens almost every day without any notice. To be honest, since I have my own schedule, it has gotten really old. A short phone call would do. "Happy morning. Yes, the road to get here was quite the one. I'm going to be absent today, Sarah, since I have a flower arranging class. I apologize, but are you going home today?" I raced to stop her going inside the living room. She is free to decide not to go if she feels it is too far. "Oh, that's not to worry about. I'll continue to observe the house, but I will undoubtedly lock up." "Oh, is there lunch available?" Sarah pushed her way into the room without even bothering to listen to what I had to say. In contrast, my granddaughter, Clara, apologized and trailed behind Sarah inside. It was cute to see Sarah observing her, back when she used to adore the floral arrangements with such gusto. However, how did things get to this point? Sarah, pay attention. I've said it several times. Kindly notify me ahead of time so that I may come over, I said. Sarah casually said, well, it would be more trouble to notify you since I'm here anyway. I want no part in dealing with such annoyances. Her eyes were fixed on her smartphone as she sat boldly in the center of the couch. This is how she used to appear at my house, lazy, leaving the cooking to others. Clara shook her head and even offered to help. I don't want to be the annoying mother-in-law, but I can only take so much. I said, oh well, anyway, you should go home because I'm heading out now. How come? We've traveled a long way. Turning us away is awful, Sarah remarked. I've requested notice from you on several occasions, I answered. Surely Clara must be tired too, Sarah replied, leaning down to speak with her. Despite her grin, there was a chilly look in her eyes. After a little pause, Clara said softly, yes. See, your very cute granddaughter is in agreement. Could we just be a bit more understanding? Eventually, Sarah won out, and I had the two of them. I was distracted when I got together with my buddies and held flowers. Putting my resentment at Sarah aside, I couldn't forget Clara's previous look. My pals inquired about the situation after seeing something was off. After I told the tale to a friend, she recommended that I speak with Ethan about it. So I thought I would give Ethan a ring on the way back. Hey, Ethan, have you got a moment? Yes, Mom. What is happening? It concerns Sarah, I said. I informed Ethan that Clara appeared depressed, and that Sarah and Clara had been coming over more often lately without prior notice. Ethan was taken aback at first, but he listened carefully and offered an honest apology. Mom, I apologize. I was completely ignorant. I will speak with Sarah to ensure that she does not visit without informing you. I swear. I'm grateful. However, what's happening to Clara? I inquired. To be honest, I don't know. Clara behaves nicely and is happy to have me around. Ethan said, she doesn't appear like what you described. I understand. Perhaps it's just while she's with Sarah, I proposed. I'll watch them carefully and try not to leave them alone together, but I don't know why. Yes, that is a wise decision. Nothing bad would ever happen to Clara. Well, they won't be alone as much because school will start shortly. If something comes up, I will notify you. Be careful. I then hung up on Ethan and left for home. When they got home, neither of them was there. Had Ethan roam quickly, forcing them to part ways. There were open appetizers, half-drunk glasses, and general mayhem throughout the room. It's usually more tidy, but this sight gave me the shivers. However, it was somewhat relieving to know that they would no longer be visiting without permission. For the following 3 weeks, Sarah remained absent. Though comforted, my worries regarding Clara did not go away. Ethan and I communicated many times, but his answers were ambiguous, probably busy. And thus the weekend came to an end. Ethan was the one who contacted me this time. Hey, Mom, next weekend, are you free? Come see us at our location. Clara is quite eager to see you. With enthusiasm, I answered, eager for that day to come. But later that day, on my way to the station, I got a text from Ethan. He promised to return shortly, but there was an important matter. For now, please unwind in my house. His commitment to work made me think a lot of his father. I laughed. It's fantastic that he found a career he likes and graduated from college. I am really proud of Ethan. I eventually got in front of Ethan's house after changing trains and taking a cab. I gave the driver my fee and stretched a little. My body had suffered greatly over the 2-hour ride, particularly for someone in their late 40s. Maybe a little of the weariness came from my anxiousness. I had not seen Clara since Ethan had requested Clara and Sarah to leave my house that one time, but I had a great urge to see her. I inhaled deeply as I stepped in front of the door and hit the music button on the intercom. The door did not, however, open right away. It took some time for Clara to show up. "Hello, Clara. It's been a long time," I said to her. "Grandma, hold on. Come this way," Clara said in an agitated tone. "What do you mean, Clara? Not right now." Clara tugged my hand eagerly and, for some reason, ushered me into the storage room. Her look, so solemn for an elementary school student, was extremely odd. "Grandma, hide through the back door quietly," she said in a whisper. I did as she said, but I was still unsure. Was this a game of hide and seek of any sort? I waited where I was. Then the sound of the bathroom door opening reached me, and I heard Sarah's voice. "Your grandmother didn't come?" she inquired. Clara gave a firm shake of her head as she peered through the opening in the storage room. Sarah gestured back, clearly upset. They were exchanging nothing but silence. Sarah pulled out her smartphone and started a conversation. "Hello, I apologize for the delay in getting back to you. But I can only talk for so long," she remarked. They talked further, catching up on things like supper previous night and how hectic work had been. Sarah had to have been talking to a buddy on the phone. I called the intercom, but maybe that's why she hadn't arrived at the front door. I could not just hang out in the storage room forever, even if it would be a bit uncomfortable. I could hear Sarah chatting earnestly as I moved. "That old woman hasn't made an appearance at all. Cannot barely maintain time. That's it for her. A change in generation is warranted." I stood there frozen. Was I the old hag that she was referring to? Usually she just addresses me as Mom or by my name. Even still, I saw that this was an opportunity to find out Sarah's secret. I thus paid close attention. Then, much to my astonishment, Sarah launched into a totally unanticipated conversation. "Okay, I'm willing to talk for a little. Our previous date was a lot of fun. Isn't that hotel incredible? Very remarkable. I'd want to return there shortly. I'm eager to see you." Her voice became notably different. Her voice was flirty, real excitement in her words. I initially assumed she was speaking with a friend, maybe regarding Ethan. Would she talk over the phone about dates or supper, though? Was this someone else, Ethan being worked on? Not only a buddy, but a man. A shiver went down my spine when I realized this. Trembling, I brought out my smartphone and hit the record button. Sarah went on, "You're incredible. Next, I want a name-brand purse. I'll wear that adorable clothing you mentioned the other day if you get it for me. Anything you want to do is allowed." The information made me queasy. And Clara, her little kid, was right there the entire time. Clara recognized that her mother wasn't acting in a commendable manner, even if she might not completely comprehend. Clara figured there would be a major issue if I bumped across Sarah, who was talking on the phone to someone else. She then commanded me to hide in the storeroom after yanking my hand violently. Clara, who was still in first grade, was unwittingly carrying the burden of her mother's actions as she sat there looking dejected. The elderly hag is too obstinate to live. So that we may live together in harmony, I want her to go as soon as possible and give me that large house. Does she mean my house when she says that large house? What does "too stubborn to survive" entail, in her opinion? I made a strong effort to hold back what I wanted to say. My mouth became parched. It truly is quite frustrating. When I snapped a photo of the inside, she became irate. She appears to be going through menopause. I hope she will take note of my generosity. She kept saying awful things after that, including how my outfit was terrible and the menu was outdated. I was angry and saddened at the same time that she felt that way about me. I massaged my trembling body and reminded myself that staying furious and leaving now would not make things better. For now, I would simply have to put up with it. "Thank you very much for having the medication ready for me. I'll have to give her a ton of them so she can leave this place as soon as possible." As she spoke, Sarah moved the white powder she was holding into a cup. Though it was difficult to see through the opening, I thought it was a visitor's cup that I had given her many years prior. It seemed if someone had pressed a knife to my throat. I'm not sure what kind of medication it was, but I knew it wasn't good. Are you going to force me to drink that? My veins immediately stopped holding blood. I had always considered my son's wife to be a decent daughter, so I never imagined that she would do anything like this. Well, I should get off. My spouse will return shortly. I'll see you at the lodging. I adore you, Sarah said. Sarah said this while removing the smartphone from her ear. However, she continued to operate the screen while I was observing. The phone rang in my palm as a result of what she was doing. Aha! It was already too late when I quickly turned off my smartphone. Mom, is it possible that you heard that? The storehouse door opened, and I instantly shielded my eyes from the intense brightness. I slowly turned to face Sarah and noticed the icy grin she had given Clara that day. I'd never been terrified of a woman's grin before, much less one from a member of my own family. What topic are you discussing? I attempted to explain in a shaky voice. I just got here a few minutes ago, but it would have been useless. You did hear it, did you not? Bit by bit, Sarah reduced the space between us with a firm voice. I choose to be honest after accepting the reality. I turned to face Sarah after leaving the storage. Indeed, I did hear. What precisely is happening? Are you involved in a romantic relationship? I plucked up the guts to speak with her. To be honest, I was shaking with terror, but I had to make sure. My hands began to perspire and my body stiffened. Why are you treating this so seriously, really? My last conversation partner is only a buddy. Everything is false. Please put that out of your mind, Sarah said. She chortled, purposefully making it seem strained, through her nose. However, it couldn't be written off as a joke. Earlier, I heard the entire conversation. You didn't hear anything but my voice. It is impossible for you to know who was on the other end of the call. It's cruel to accuse me of having an affair. So, with whom are you speaking? It was only a friend, you know. Can we stop it right now? Without even glancing in my direction, she responded angrily and took up her smartphone right away. The topic of the talk made it plain that this wasn't your average buddy, yet nonetheless I felt undervalued. So, what about the disparaging remarks you previously made about me? Was that also a joke? I have never made a statement like that. Your level of paranoia is insane. Remove it. Do you possess any proof? Well, stop making unfounded charges in the absence of proof. I'm not in a relationship. Sarah spoke it loudly at that very time, and the front door flung open, revealing Ethan. Ethan glared at Sarah, nodded subtly at me, and turned to face Clara. Seizing the opportunity, I quickly approached Clara, who appeared taken aback. She started to cry softly in my arms as I gave her a kind embrace. Her body felt incredibly chilly, even though it used to be so warm. Oh, this child has been through a lot of pain up until now. I felt a wave of regret. I regretted not noticing it sooner. What made you return so quickly? How is work going? Ethan answered my question. Let's put an end to this. Everything about you is already known to me, including your affair, your interest in Mom's house, and the fact that you have touched Clara. What proof do you have for making such claims? Sarah made a demand. Ethan raised his smartphone and stated, Mom sent me a video. You're incredible. Next, I want a name-brand purse. I'll wear that adorable clothing you mentioned the other day if you get it for me. Anything you want to do is allowed. That was it, the exact same sentence that Sarah had just finished. Yes, I had been filming tapes in secret, and I had just shown Ethan one. Ethan had hurried home after completing his business and had precisely timed his entry. You were recording everything. Are you kidding me, please? He is merely a friend. Merely a companion, huh? I guess a friend that engages in activities like these together. After saying that, Ethan took a bunch of pictures out of his suitcase and gave them to Sarah. Why are these with you? Sarah inquired. Sarah was seen strolling with a man in the pictures. The man's hand was around Sarah's waist, and her profile showed that she was happy, not angry. In addition, the structure in the distance was a hotel. It was obvious that this friendship was unlike any other. There were more pictures of the two of them together, holding hands, grinning, and even sharing an embrace while wearing similar necklaces. Sarah's face became whiter as she stared at them. "I was aware of your relationship. You have been acting strangely recently. Clara informed me that you've been gone from home a lot. What did Clara do?" I warmly embraced the little body in my arms. Clara hid her face in my garments, her tiny arms clinging to them to keep her mother's eyes off her. "You, Clara? What are you doing after I expressly ordered you not to say anything? Sarah, what are you doing? You ought to be the one asking the question. What type of conduct is this when a youngster is around? Most likely, you haven't even given Clara's feelings any thought." I was at my breaking point. Mom is always criticizing Dad. We live in a foreign house, and she mistreats me. I quickly went for Clara's garments after hearing those comments. She gave a little wince and raised her top compliantly. Her tummy was covered in multiple nasty bruises, and I had to scowl. Was Sarah reaching up to stop Clara? If such was the case, it explained Clara's unusually calm behavior in my place. "Clara, is this possible?" To my query, Clara gave a slight nod. At that, Sarah gave Clara a scowl. Ethan moved to the front of Sarah, totally blocking Clara's view. It seemed unbelievable to me that a mother would subject her own kid to such abuse. Clara broke down in front of me the night Sarah left to the motel with that man. I thus engaged a detective. I was receiving an update on the development today. A detective? Indeed, we conducted a comprehensive inquiry. The man appears to be a pharmacist. Ethan approached Sarah with the evidence he had acquired in order to get that far. From the moment Clara told me until we received this proof, he had already visited a detective, feeling that something was up. I was so afraid Sarah would hurt her again. My heart felt as though it were breaking apart. Ethan appeared to be in agony. It must have been horrible for Ethan these last several days to learn that someone he loved had deceived him and damaged his priceless gift. Clara, though, told me she was okay. I had this young girl's support, and now we had conclusive proof. I had assumed that I had been asked over today because of Clara's mental health. Clara no longer saw her mother as anything other than a terrifying presence. Ethan turned to face me, giving me a deep bow. "I sincerely apologize for including you in all of this, Mom." "It's all right," I comforted him, saying, "You and Clara have both shown incredible strength. Rather than offering me an apology in spite of their own sorrow, this was definitely how they really felt." I was pleased with Ethan for his ability to achieve it. Ethan responded, "Thank you," with a look of true regret in his eyes, but also a trace of relief. More significantly, I noticed something. "You said the other person works as a pharmacist, huh?" Indeed, he has considerable recognition in the field. It appears that Sarah had already added something to the cup, maybe medication. Is it possible that... Rushing to the table was Ethan. He knocked the cup over, causing white powder to fly all over the floor. "Sarah, what is this?" "That guy of mine gave it to me." "For what reason?" "Well, of course, to get rid of this old hag. It's clear. Soon I want to move into that enormous house with him. You and the child are not required." Just seconds before, Sarah had appeared resigned and disappointed, but now she abruptly lifted her voice. With a frightening gaze, she approached me and seized the falling tablets. "Grab this right away. Come on, please." I squeezed Clara more closer, keeping Sarah at bay. However, Sarah pulled me away with her arm and got on top of me. I battled, but I was outmatched by Sarah's larger stature. Before Ethan could even attempt to pull Sarah away, Sarah's hand with the pills was right in front of me. "Cease." A youthful voice rang out just as I gave all hope. "Mom, please stop now. If you want to, you can hit me. Everything is possible with me. Please don't harm Grandma." Clara froze, looking from Clara to Sarah. Clara's legs trembled like a scared deer as she peered back at Sarah. "Mom, you are loved. I don't like you anymore, but you used to be so sweet. I object to the way you handle Grandma. Please return to your previous state of being." Clara had remained silent up until this point, but suddenly she opened her mouth and started crying. She collapsed, letting go of all the bottled-up feelings. As Sarah saw what was happening, she opened her lips to say something, but instead she just slumped to the ground, seemingly giving up. No matter how horrible a mother's deeds may be, she might still be hit by a child's sincere scream. I made a police call. That medicine must be hazardous now. They'll do a thorough investigation. The police will provide us with further information. Clara was still weeping, so Ethan placed his smartphone back in his pocket and picked her up. He gave her a touch on the back to reassure her. "Clara was aware of your actions, but she chose not to inform me because she believed it would upset me. She also apologized to her father that day she told me. Consider the significance of it." Clara extended her hand to stroke Clara's head, but she stopped short. Most likely it was for the best. She had seen directly the impact a morally dubious mother might have on her offspring. In the days that followed, Ethan's hired investigator produced indisputable proof of Sarah's adultery. Sarah was reluctant to get a divorce at first, but she finally gave in. She was arrested along with her partner. They planned to kill me, take over that house, kill Ethan, and then get married again. They had committed a crime because of their avarice. Well, even if they made up for their transgressions, they couldn't afford to live in a mansion, since alimony and child support would completely deplete their inheritance and income. As expected, the drug they attempted to force me to take turned out to be dangerous. It seemed like the male pharmacist had stolen it without permission. Maybe I would have gone to my spouse if I had taken it. Ethan responded as follows when I conveyed this to him in jest. "I really apologize to Mom for this. Hey, would you mind moving in with us going forward? You must find it difficult to be by yourself, especially in light of Clara. Now I live with my loved ones in addition to the vibrant flowers." The excessively large house was soon crowded with their possessions, and the empty room vanished completely. I kneel in the little room in front of my late husband's picture today, as I always do. It appears that I will be going to heaven after him. I'm really content right now. Darling, will you forgive me? I conversed with him in the picture. Through the little room's window, I can see Clara and Ethan having a lively game. I immediately remember that day when Clara tried her hardest to keep me safe, disobeyed Sarah, and gave Ethan a lot of consideration. There were evenings after the event when her emotions would swing and she would cry uncontrollably. But now she's back to her old self, a happy first grader. I swear fervently that I will keep this child safe. Ethan probably thinks the same thing. Grandmother, go get the ball. Yes, sweetheart. With a ball in my hand, I head towards Clara as I step out into the yard. She smiles at me with great joy as she chuckles. I can't resist giving her a strong embrace. It feels different from that day, her warm body. I feel a deep